Live from the Hoboken Historical Museum, it's Hoboken Talks, the twice monthly show where we speak with the fascinating characters that make this such a great town. Our guest this week, you may know him as Pat, you may know him as Patty Boy, you may know him as Patleo. Don't call him late for dinner. Pat Spaccavento, proprietor, chef, grand poobah of Piccolo's at 92 Clinton Street, Hoboken, New Jersey. Hi.
Hello, Jack.
I'm Jack Silbert, your host. Behind the curtain, our director, Rand Hoppy. And this is the 4th season premiere of Hoboken Talks. Started as a little ragtag show during the early pandemic and still pretty much a ragtag show.
Well, that's why I'm here, to boost it up.
Yes. I did just want to, we had some cliffhangers from season 3 that regular viewers remember. Rand at the last episode was taken away by police detectives. An eyewitness, a bank teller, said that he was guilty of a robbery at the First National. Rand swearing he was innocent, but he was dragged away.
Framed.
He was the wrong man.
Without a doubt, that happens a lot.
And then regular viewer Eric Kammer lost at sea. We lost the radar, no more pings. So hopefully, Rand is here. So that was cleared up, that whole thing with the wrong man.
Yes, yes.
It's a guy who looked like Rand.
Well, there you go. Mistaken identity.
Now, Zeus,
That's my man Zeus.
he says, look at you two.
Baccarat. It's a good man.
He's a great man.
It's a good man.
And Eric Hammer said the ship is still here. Rand, stay out of trouble. Most loyal viewer of Hoboken Talks. So loyal that went from viewer to guest and also host. He's done it all.
Jack of all trades, no pun intended.
None taken. So, as you've seen, if you're watching this live, either on YouTube, Patty, big YouTube guy, or Facebook.
Is that YouTube U, the letter?
They
Dash T-U-B-E?
No, it's spelled out.
Oh, okay.
Y-O-U. And then Facebook, which is also spelled out. But if you're watching live, this is on Thursday. What's the date today?
The 8th, February
8th. Just like you saw Zeus and Eric do, you could type in a little comment like that. And then Rand, as long as you're polite, Rand will pass that through to us, and you can comment, ask questions, whatever you'd like to do.
Yeah, well, that's fine.
Well,
You know what my favorite quote is, right?
let's hear it. First, I just welcome. Thank you for coming.
No, thank you for having me, and I'm kind of honored because this is the premiere of the 4th season.
Yes, yes.
So I'm honored, and I thank you, Jack, and I thank you, Rand. My favorite quotation comes from P.T. Barnum. Mention my name, good or bad. Just mention my name.
Okay.
I'll know if I did wrong.
Now the story of Piccolo's, it starts before Piccolo's, and even before your father, Joseph Sparky
Correct.
Spaccavento, comes to this country, this fine land of ours, in 1937,
Correct.
if I'm correct, at the age of 7.
Correct.
His dad,
My namesake.
Pat, it was a little longer.
Right. It was Patleo. It was an A and an N.
All right.
And my mother and father took the A and the N out.
And he had Ponce.
Yeah, that's it.
I
It's all right.
call him
Jack.
Ponce.
That's all right.
He was here already,
Yes,
working on the GW bridge,
that's correct. He was a laborer. He set the forms.
and he's like, "Hey, this is all right here. Sent for the family."
Yes. And they came over.
Now, why Hoboken?
That I never knew.
I mean, you weren't around yet.
No, I wasn't. But what the story was that
Now, wait a minute.
yes, Zeus, I have turned off
What's
the
Patty?
stove.
You turn off the stove before the interview. Now,
How you doing, Pat?
Pat Lombardi,
He's right in front of me.
actually, yes, Cosmo the Baker is with us we generally don't have an audience. There a couple of times, Rand, we have had
That's right.
a guest, and we are honored to have Cosmo the Baker here. And there's rumors that at some point in this 4th season, maybe he'll be sitting here. And if this one goes poorly, he may come up very soon.
I don't think it'll go.
No,
I don't
no,
think so.
we're off to a good start
I don't think so.
already. Before Zeus interrupted.
That's correct.
I'm reminded of Happy Days when Chachi was falling in love with Joni. He threw his apron into the kitchen. The stove was still on.
That's when Al owned the place, not Arnold.
Janice Cologne.
Hello, Janice. You're my favorite aunt.
Hope none of the other aunts are watching.
There's no left.
Okay. Your dad running around Hoboken, having a good time. Starts working at a butcher shop.
When he was 12. And the reason why was on a Sunday, some of his friends were going to what they call the Scratch House movie theater. And he asked my grandmother for a quarter, and what he wound up with was a beating and no quarter.
Okay.
And the reason for that was not that she didn't want to give it to him. She just didn't have it.
Yeah.
So he said he made up his mind he's got to get a job, and he worked for a butcher shop.
And it starts a love of meat, for lack of a better word.
Yeah. Yeah, my father, he worked in a butcher shop at 12. He was not quite 17, and he had his own butcher shop at 504 Jefferson Street.
Okay. And Rand, what's the first photo we have here?
Ah! That's Mom and Pop. Their wedding, 1952, I do believe. And that's a keepsake. That's a keepsake. As I did, my father had a full head of hair. He wound up like me. And my mother, she was as beautiful there as she was on her last breath.
And they spent some time in Miami.
Yes, they did. And
Just visiting, vacationing.
well, it was their honeymoon actually,
Yeah.
and that's where the name Piccolo's derived from. There was an Italian restaurant that was named Piccolo, and they ate there almost every night. And I was fortunate enough to see the carcass of the building when I was
Yeah.
in Florida
Yeah.
with my father. But it was vibrant back in the day, and when my father was looking for a name, he said to my mother, Ange, what do you think about naming the place? And she says, why don't we name it Piccolo? And my father didn't want to do it for the simple reason that it could have been a family name, it could have been a trademark name. So what they did was they made it Piccolo's, which is a universal word in Italian meaning small, picca.
Right. And it's shortened just like your grandfather's name.
That's correct. That's correct. Well, when I was born in 1961,
And Mike Rosenberg, beautiful man, also who once had a full head of hair.
oh, well, I thank you for that, Mike.
It is a beautiful photo. It is a beautiful photo.
And
And Mike Rosenberg, I am going to buy you a sandwich.
there you go. And we'll credit Dookie with that.
And Zeus also.
You need more than one for Zeus.
All right, 2 sandwiches
Okay.
for Zeus, one for Mike, and one for Eric Hammer if you want to come to town. We'll have lunch.
That includes Rand.
Oh, here's a guy.
My good friend Steve Fallon. How are you, Steven?
Hello, Patty and Jack. Steve Fallon, of course. Rosenberg says your money's no good. You don't know the half of it, Mike. Let's just say not allowed in Bayonne. Well, let's get to Steve Fallon a little bit later in the chronology of, but
Whatever you want, between you and Abramson and the rest of the gang, don't treat my man as a second-rate citizen.
No.
All right.
Hey, we want him on this show.
Thank you, Anthony.
Anthony Petrosino, the beautiful picture of your parents. Thank you for sharing. I read those for our Victor. Everybody's watching. This could be a ratings.
I don't know.
Victor
I just hope it
Luca
helps.
Torto says this is great.
That's Luca Torto, yes. You know Big Victor?
Now, Steve Fallon, for those who don't, even though he's probably been mentioned in every one of these that I posted, was the founder, the proprietor of the legendary club Maxwell's, which
Absolutely.
in 1978, he carried it into the 90s, and then our man Todd Abramson carried it into the new millennium.
Yes, he did.
And a legend and a hero of mine, but even though he's thinking about the sin that I commit every time I order a steak with cheese, and yet, wait, can we go back to the two shot, and I'll duck down. It says famous for cheese steaks, not steaks. It says cheese steaks.
Well, that's kind of...
It's 1950. I'm not going to ask you to put your head down, but it says established
Yeah, I'll put it
1955.
down. There you go.
All right.
There you go. But that's semantics. He said steak with cheese.
He says that's a sin for me to order the cheesesteak, that it should just be steak and onions, and that's it. Now, is that a different era?
You
Or
see why I'm so endeared to Steve? Because when I eat them,
Yeah.
or if I take them home, mine
yeah,
are steak with onions.
no cheese.
No cheese. No cheese. And no
But
steak
again-
sauce either.
It says cheese. Patty Murphy Carson Thorpe. You're a neighbor of yours
We grew up on the same block.
on Garden.
I know our whole family. Patty, how are you? Thanks for sharing, as Jack would say.
Thomas Romero says, "Hi, amigo."
Oh, Tomás. Tomás, mañana es sopita de escanduri con macarrones and no lenteja.
Victor's my kind of guy. He says, "Save the cheese for the rest of us."
Wow.
And since you're not on the little, the cell phones, that is called an emoji. The little thing, the little picture of the cheese.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I'm familiar with that.
All right, let's try to keep going because this will be the first, this will be a mini series.
Hey, we can do this till midnight. I'm okay with it.
Here's the grand 1955, the grand opening. I guess is that Sparky and
No, it's not. It was one of his friends. He had a counter crew of maybe about 6 or 7 at that time. And that was the double hanging window, which was a clam bin. He's actually shucking clams. We had clams back then.
And this was 92 Clinton Street from the beginning.
Yeah.
And next door to at 88.
Excuse me. Club 88. It was owned by the Davises. Big Jim and his wife Maisie, and they were beautiful people. They were family. And
one because there was sort of it wasn't along the main drag, but we had a strong African American music scene in town.
well, it was one of the bars that was on the Chitlin circuit.
Yeah.
Motown did perform there. They had a bandstand. They had 2 rooms, the front room, which had the bar, and then the back room, because Jim used to cook. And when my father was starting to put the place together, he said, "Spark, whatever you need, water, anything I can help you with, when you get up and running, you handle the food, we'll handle the beverage." And it was a match made in heaven.
And so in the early days, the place was we were open at night. You weren't around yet.
No, the only one who was born was my older sister, the doctor, Colette.
Okay. She wasn't a doctor when she was a kid.
Yeah, she was ahead of her time. Very proud of her. She was ahead of her time.
And so it was lunch and dinner, and people would come over from the bar.
It was, you could say lunch, because my father opened maybe around 4 o'clock. But he was there when he wasn't at the butcher shop. He was usually at the butcher shop in the daytime, not his. It was a butcher shop around the corner. He had the concession in Anthony Salento's place. Tony Salento was a politician. He was a freeholder back in the day. And he had what was considered like a mini mart today, back then, right on First Street. And my father had the butcher concession in there.
Okay.
And he did that in the day, and then he worked at night. And the place was open at night from 55 to 68.
Okay. And I think we have another photo of just the counter.
Ah, there he is. 25 years old.
Wow.
25 years old.
And is that the same orientation if we walk in there today?
Well, you see what's on the top and that hood?
Yeah.
That's original. The hood that you see going straight across from that end, between those 2 customers, to the end, is the top part was added on shortly after that for the opening.
Right.
And that came from Rudy Schaefer, who owned Schaefer's down by the train station. And that still exists today in Piccolo's.
Now we have no diners.
I know. And the tile, we have sheets, full 6-foot sheets of stainless steel behind the counter. But behind that stainless steel are those original tiles.
Nice. All right, now at some point in the 60s. I think it's the next photo.
Oh,
Who's this? Who's this kid?
I don't know, but he was a good-looking baby.
Who?
That's how I got my wife. I showed her that picture, and she says to me, "Who was that, your son?" I said, "No, that's me when I was 2.
And what are you? I don't know if you.
That's a bunny.
I.
Hey, Colette, if you're watching, was that a bunny?
I guess the.
Looks like a bunny.
I'm not blowing my nose. I might be smelling the bunny. I don't know.
But which end is the? I don't know.
Well, it's a little distorted. I think I got it here, is what I have.
Okay. And then, speaking of Colette and
Now, to my right, that's Colette. She's the leader of the pack. To my left, that's my sister Kathy. And me, that's me in the middle. And Colette and I would never let my sister Kathy play with us. Yeah, we were cruel. Kathy, if you're watching, share and tell everybody it's the truth. But we love each other anyway.
yeah, no, there seems to be some love there. And then I had a little question about your childhood because interest in, I've always known you're, a sports fan.
Yes.
But less known is the strumming. Now, I've done a lot of music interviews here. Is there a secret musician?
Well, first of all, I was ahead of my time because there are a lot of athletes today
Yeah,
that are musicians as well.
sure.
One comes to mind, Bernie Williams. However, I always liked the guitar.
Yeah.
And if I didn't have a guitar, I would get one of my grandmother's pots and strum it as long as it had a handle long enough.
Rand, next photo. Something like
See,
that.
yes, I wasn't lying. I wasn't
Not
lying.
even the next day. This is a couple of years.
Yeah, it didn't matter. Yet, I do own an acoustic guitar. I bought it years ago from my good friend Jim at the Guitar Bar on First Street.
Future guest of Hoboken
And,
Talks.
he's a great guy.
Sure.
A great guy. I kind of live vicariously through him as well. But anyway, he swears he can teach me the basic notes in 10 minutes. His
Yeah.
wife says, I could teach you faster than that. I'm better than Jim.
She is one of my favorite people in
She's a
town.
beautiful woman.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, I can't get a note.
Okay. Well,
I can't get a note.
remember
anyway.
Grandma Moses, who didn't cook a steak sandwich till she was like 80 years old.
Well, my father always said there's many people that can build, because I once told him, I says, I can't do anything with these hands. I can't build a house. I can't lay bricks. He says, but not everybody can cut meat and cook.
Rand, let's go to the two shot again just for a little bit.
Man, I was a good looking kid.
You're still a beautiful man.
No. Back in my heyday, look out.
Talking about that, what are your earliest memories of, well, before I ask that question,
Yes. Take this.
now this is your sister Kathy. This is Kathy. Yes, they wouldn't let me play with them. That is awful.
Yeah, I told you, we were cool. But my father always said, listen, when I'm gone and your mother's gone, you and your sister,
Yeah.
take care of your sister Kathy.
And,
I said, Pop, what did I do so bad that I got to take care of her?
right. And are you?
But-
You're taken care of? Well, Kathy, let us know if he made good on taking care of you.
I'll tell. Hey, Rand, Kathy's a pip. Kathy's a pip. Joe Menenti.
Says we love you, Patty boy.
Joe Menenti, childhood friends, still friends today. Anytime I need to make a cream sauce for myself, my own purpose, I go to Joe, I call him, and he gives me the recipe. This man, his lineage in food is not to be believed that he followed. His grandfather owned the original Blue Point in Hoboken.
Okay.
Okay? And, of course,
Kathy says absolutely you took care of her.
there you go.
And that is,
And
again, an emoji.
Don't put those heart emojis. People will get the wrong idea that I really do love you, Kat. She's the best.
You're a young man, but it's you took an interest to it. The kitchen, the meat.
I'll tell you how that happened.
Yeah.
It kind of backfired on my father. My father's self-educated. My mother, high school diploma, par for the course at that time. And my mother worked in Morgan Guarantee Trust in New York City. She worked there until she was pregnant with my older sister, Colette. And back then, they didn't give husband and wife maternity leave. They found out you were pregnant, they'd let you go. And my aunt, who was a seamstress, my mother was just as thin as my sister, Colette. And they never knew she was pregnant till her 8th month. And then my father says, that's it. You stay home. So, what happens? Lost my train of thought.
You were telling me exactly how it came.
It backfired.
Yes.
Okay. My father, all three of us worked in Piccolo's.
Right.
We went to St. Francis School from 3rd and Jefferson. We walked down to Piccolo's. We swept up at the end of the day. We filled the soda cases up at the end of the day, and then we all went home.
For you young people, it's like that show Bob's Burgers, where they have.
I always see the advertisement.
It's a good show. It's fun.
I love you too, Grace. Very much.
Grace
September. I got you covered, Jack. Don't worry.
Looks like September. That's almost.
Yes. Yes. Very good person. A whole family. Knew her father as well.
So the three of you work in there.
Yes. So, what happens? My sisters were older. When they were going to high school, they went to Sacred Heart Academy in Hoboken. And, of course, me being the youngest, when I finished St. Francis, I would come. Now, my summers were taken up by working with my father and my mother. And I wanted to stay home. I wanted to play on the Four Corners like we all did back then on 12th and Garden. And I had to come to work first. And my father always said, when we get home, after you eat, you got time to play with your friends.
Right.
And and that includes playing street hockey. And that includes playing kid hockey,
We were the biggest Ranger fans when we were young. We belonged to
the Ranger fan club. And we used to go, I think it was one meeting every Monday night. One a month or one every Monday night, I'm not sure. And we used to meet players. They used to answer questions and everything else like that. So, what happens? As I got older, 10, 11, 12, I just wanted to play with my friends in the summertime.
Right.
My days off from school in the wintertime, the same thing. They were playing this and that. So anyway, around the age of 13, what had happened was I used to come home after work with my father, and I'd go outside after I ate, and I'd say, hey, where's Billy? Oh, Billy's working for a liquor store. He's delivering. Hey, where's Jimmy? Jimmy's working for a liquor store. He's delivering. I said, look at this. I said, I work for my family. I always got a couple of bucks in my pocket because I earned it. And I got my nights free. Well, when I told my father I didn't want to go to high school, I took a beating for that. And that's what I wanted to do. And if I had finished my college education, I wouldn't be doing anything different. It's a labor of love. When you go to work, if you like your work, that's 50%. You're happy. And then it's people. I would have never met you if I wasn't there.
That's true.
And I'm glad I did.
Likewise, my friend.
I know that.
All right, let's return to the photos. I think there was one that I should have shown before. This is look how handsome.
All right, now Jack, please.
Almost, I dare say, a little too handsome.
Okay, okay,
You know what I'm saying?
yes. Now, Steve Fallon said, "How could you sin like that? Putting cheese on a steak." Now, I took it a different way. Now, please don't take this out of context. Now, that's what's so great about being Catholic, because I could confess that this is my communion picture.
Yes.
Now, if I sin by putting cheese on a steak, I can confess that.
Yes.
And I'm back on the street with Father Rivera. Three Hail Marys, 3 Our Fathers. But anyway, that was my communion picture.
I have to wait for Yom Kippur. That's
Is
all
that
right,
the cleansing?
yeah,
That's the cleansing.
atonement.
Yeah.
All right, let's. So, now, I don't know about what year is this.
Well,
me bring
I had a DA and I had a mustache. This was early 80s.
Okay.
This was early 80s. I might have been about 20 there, so 20 was 1981.
And you had been you did a year at Seton Hall,
Almost 2.
almost 2 years.
Almost 2.
So this is maybe around the end of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. In fact, it might have been where the second semester of the second year might have been.
Right.
So. I have no regrets.
Why would you?
Ah.
It's a beautiful
Why?
life, and
Why?
yeah.
Because if I got tired of doing what I was doing and I needed a pencil pushing job, I at least have a college diploma. I know a college diploma doesn't mean anything nowadays because you have to have triple masters, quadruple masters, and everything else. But
Look, your next career is folk singer.
So, that's if Jim from the guitar bar teaches me how to play the guitar.
All right, now. I believe I took the next photo. No, I didn't.
That's the leader of the band now. That's my sister, Dr. Colette Spaccavento. And
Oncology specialist.
absolutely. She's been at Lenox Hill. Oh, it's got to be about 40 years, 43, 44 years. And very proud of her. Unless you can't figure it out. Well, Daddy, listen, my father always said it. Colette, take you out of the hospital, you don't know anything.
Colette, if you're on YouTube, you see the comments underneath, and just where it just says the word comment, you can type right onto there. Or if it's Facebook, it's kind of the same deal. Just look for underneath the image. But,
Well, Bird, that's her nickname. My father used to say, "Where's the eagle?" to my mother.
yeah.
And I renamed her the Bird.
Okay.
So, Bird, just now, I don't believe I'm going to say this, but get in touch with our sibling Kathy, and she'll bring you through it.
All right. Now, so family.
Oh, here we go. Now that's my beautiful wife, and I did something that I said I was never going to do. I met her at Piccolo's. And yeah, I'll tell you why. When I was very young, 10 or 11, my father said, "Junior, just remember one thing, out of the clear blue sky. You got a mother and 2 sisters, and don't you ever forget it." And I never did. And the one that I did, I'm happily married for 32 years.
Wonderful.
Come April.
But that policy, that there's an expression that we wouldn't use on the air.
Well, absolutely. But I mean, it took me a little time because I was a young kid.
Yeah.
to figure it out, but it was months after that I knew what he meant. I never asked him what it meant. I just knew.
Right. Right.
I just knew. Because Piccolo's was primarily male dominant. And occasionally a woman would come in, and you always had to protect that woman.
Yeah. Well,
That's why it was said.
You told me early on that the weekdays.
I lied.
No.
I'm only kidding.
But it may be true now, but the weekday lunch is generally a working person's crowd. I guess it's changed a little bit as the working world has changed.
Yes, but let me explain it this way. It's very easy to understand. If you owned a house or you needed some work done on the house or in your apartment or whatever, if you needed a plumber or an electrician,
A roofer.
a roofer, there you go, a concrete man, between the hours of 11:30 and 1 o'clock, you can have your choice of some of the top-notch
right.
specialists in Piccolos. That's where they were.
Eric Kammer asks, who's the most famous person that came into the store? Eric, if you'll hold on for a second, the next batch of photos we'll look at, and you can talk about other brushes with greatness, if you don't mind.
What about their brush with greatness when they met me?
It's a... But first, here's a big star.
Without a doubt, the biggest star in my life. That's my daughter Angelina, and I think she was about 3 there, and very proud of that girl. Educated, graduate of St. Peter's University, a degree in environmental and public health, and she had a rough start. She had a brain tumor when she was 3 months old. It came back when she was 6 months old. She had 7 head openings, and she still has a shunt in the head, but thank God she doesn't need it because the ventricles from the brain are functioning fine. But every day I go out and every day I fight, that's the main reason. Damn, I'm good looking.
Now, this photo I took. This is
a personal photo.
This is 2003 at the festival,
The
which for
St. Anne's
a
Festival.
long time you had a presence.
We did that for about, I'm going to say 14, but it was anywhere from 12 to 14 years in a row. And when I did that, I got finished with it. It hurt so good. That expression is true. But while I was doing it, I regret every dollar that I spent foolishly. That's what's considered blood money. That's rapid fire. It's all day. We used to finish at about, the feast closed at 12, you were shut down. We actually, they let us extend it while we were cleaning up, and we get the going home stragglers. We finished cleaning about 1:30 in the morning, and my sister used to come in from New York because she was always worried about my father, and she would take him home early. Then I had to go to my mother's house, do what I had to do there. I would come home, I'd shower, I'd eat at 3:30 in the morning, and by 7:30, 8 o'clock, I was back down the place getting set up to do the festival. And back then, we used to do it 7 days.
Yeah.
7 days. But it was a fun time. It was a fun time.
We got Louis in the back there, who's still been a very loyal guy behind your counter.
Louis's been with us 30 years. And everybody says, he's here a long time. I said, yeah. He knows. He knows what? I tell him. He dies with me.
And Gary escaped somehow.
Gary
was on the other side of the counter.
Yes.
Cool.
Gary is retired now. He's a city employee. And I see him occasionally, and he's in town. He lives down the shore somewhere, and Gary was there every step of the way as well. In fact, Gary was the contractor for the stand.
Okay.
Gary would put it up.
Right.
He'd take a week's vacation, and he'd put it up, and we would have a great time.
I loved it. For me, it was a shorter walk, to get the sandwich.
Not only that, it was our regular customers, such as yourself, loved it because the steaks were attainable at night.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
didn't happen.
Right.
It only happened from 55 to 68.
All right, now, this is section is dedicated to Eric Kammer. We have some of the, celebs. Here was Governor, and look how I put, it's not my first time hosting Hoboken Talks. I put it right after the photo of the festival. This is at the festival.
This is actually at the festival. That's Governor Whitman, who was a very lovely person. And I actually got to be on a, how can I put it? I mean, of course, she was governor, but her husband, he came in several times after that.
Yeah.
And while she was still governor, I don't particularly know what his particular job was or his expertise, but very nice lady, and that's
But between you two, is that Tony Orlando?
no, that's Mayor Anthony Russo.
Yes.
That's who it is.
Former mayor.
Yes, and former movie star. He was in Analyze This. He didn't have a speaking part because, as you all know, that if you have a speaking part, the scale goes up.
Right.
As long as you pay your...
And father of my councilman, Michael Russo.
Yes, that is correct.
3rd Ward.
That's right, 3rd Ward.
423 Adams.
Yes. Yes. But Anthony and I went back. I'm much older than Michael and his brother Anthony and his brother Nicky, in fact. But I was one of the first members of his club. I was not quite 17. And Anthony was a fun guy to be around. He was a fun guy.
All right. Next up in the parade of hits, Joey Pants. Pantaleon.
Yeah,
close to your grandfather's name. Pantaleon.
Pantaleano.
Close.
Yeah. Well, the Pont is there.
Yeah.
The N and the A after the T is there. But Hoboken born and raised Joe. He did very well for himself. We're all proud of him. He stops down once in a while. The first time I met him, he was in the back room looking at the Sinatra pictures. So I hear noise. I'm cutting meat in the kitchen. I hear noise. So I go in there and I see it's him. So I put the lights on. And he turns around and he says, "Thank you." I said, "Joe, I'm glad you're here. I turned the lights on as common courtesy. I know you're a Biggies man." So that's a true story because Joe was born downtown.
Okay.
And, everybody thought there was animosity.
Rival clam bar.
Yeah, everybody thought there was animosity between us and Biggies, but there wasn't. And we were very close to the Yacarinos because my grandmother owned 320 Madison Street, the house there, and that's where my mother was born, and that's where she grew up. And old man Joe Biggie, may he rest in peace, he was a great guy. And we know the whole family, and the shout out to brother. And it was just one of those things. So Joe turned around, he says, "You know who I am?" I said, "Yeah, Joe." And a regular guy, just like the rest of us from town. And when Joe used to come in, he would sit at the first table where the soda cases are. And I said, "Joe, would you like to sit inside? I'll put you inside." He says, "Patty, no." I said, "Well, I don't want anybody to bother you." And he says, "Look, similar to P.T. Barnum, look, if they like me or they don't like me, it's good for me." and it's good for you. He says, I'm happy right here.
Yeah.
Great guy. Great guy. Talented guy. Ah.
Now, for you young people out there,
Yes, that's me. That's me at my top weight. I was about 330 pounds.
oh, interesting.
Yeah.
But this is David Hartman, who was the longtime host of Good Morning America, for a long time, and the show is still on, but Hartman...
David has passed. Don't forget, he also caught for the San Francisco Giants professional baseball. He was a professional baseball player.
That's before my time.
Well, he was there.
Okay.
He was there.
And this, it was for PBS, and I have a copy on VHS.
Well, the title of it was Walk Around Hoboken or Walk Around. They did several segments in Hoboken, Newark, Jersey City. Nice man. Very, you know how I judge some people? Highfalutin.
Okay.
If they're not highfalutin,
Yeah.
I just adhere to them. If they are, spend a lifetime trying to bring them down.
Okay.
You know that, Jack. You've seen it. You witnessed it.
In action. I've seen you bring grown men to their knees.
Yes, absolutely.
How did this get in here? Wait a minute. Now, this is not Piccolo's.
No, it's not.
And Gary didn't put together this booth, but it is Sister Colette with, I put this one in just for me, longtime Channel 7 weatherman Stormfield.
That's correct. And there's the lineage for Storm because his father, Frank
Dr.
Field,
Frank Field.
Yes.
Named his son
Storm.
Beautiful.
It is beautiful. It is beautiful.
Hey, Deb Veloce is here.
What's that on the side? I didn't see it. Hello, Deb.
That is her profile picture
I see.
on the social media. Now, wait a minute.
Come on, Zeus, that's not fair. But Mayor Tom Verzetti did.
Wait. Let's go to the two shot for a second, because we saw in a couple of things, and it's been the Frank Sinatra and newcomers to Piccolo's, especially I would say, let's say 20 years ago, 25 years ago.
Okay.
You'd walk in, strangers in the night.
Yes.
Painting, Leroy Neiman there.
Yes.
And then the back room, basically a shrine to.
So they say.
Here at the Hoboken Historical Museum, they did that was for the 100th
Yeah.
birthday. They did a Sinatra exhibit. It was the most popular exhibit. I don't know ever. I don't know. But it's so popular that this museum's so small that they don't really have a permanent exhibit. Things keep changing, but that was so popular that they call it the Sinatra Lounge.
Well, and rightly so.
So I'd like to just talk a little bit about the Piccolo's, the fandom, and also have you had any connection? Have you crossed paths with any members of the family?
Well, first of all, my father and mother were both fans. I like to think we did. In fact, I don't want to be so brash as to say I know we did. We were the ones that first started the Sinatra birthday cake. And when he passed away, we stopped doing that. Over the years, my father met Sinatra when he was young. He actually, when his mother lived in Weehawken, and his father, and he still got meats in Hoboken, and my father went on a delivery. And he brings it to the house, and he rings the bell, and he figures Dolly would come out, but Frank happened to be there, and he come out. And that's the only time he met him.
Yeah.
Contrary to what people say, he sat here, he drank there. I never met him, nor was he ever in Piccolo's. However, Frank Jr. I met, he was down. Tina, regular girl, you'd think she was from Hudson County all her life. Spent about 3-4 hours with my father, just shooting the breeze, and a regular girl. And Nancy's daughter, AJ, his granddaughter, I did meet, and it was weird. She was in the back room, and I see somebody back there, and I'm looking at her, and she had seen all the photos, and I was looking over the western doors that cut off the room to the kitchen, and she just stared at me, and I stared at her. And you just knew because her eyes were the same as her grandfather's.
Right.
It was something special. She lived in Hoboken at that time. Her husband and her brother-in-law owned a bar called the Golden Hawk on 10th and Park.
Yepkin.
I don't know, but
Our friend Joe Menendez said last thing he's going to say, Patty should have his own weekly show. I could easily a podcast or a YouTube thing.
I appreciate that, Harpo. That was his nickname growing up. I appreciate that.
But I would watch that show if you had it. All right, let's go back to the photos. How are we doing on time? Well, we have a few more minutes. This was, and I would like you to talk a little bit. And I think we're probably going to go a couple of minutes over our 8 o'clock time. So just note alerting our affiliates.
Hey, I'm only getting paid till 8 o'clock here.
Right, that's right. Superstorm Sandy that knocked us around pretty good.
Yeah, bad time. A bad time.
And the restaurant was filled with
4 feet of water. And all machines were gone, shot. Everything, perishables, freezers, chest freezers were turned over. And I think we weren't back for about 6 to 8 weeks. And of course, that was former Mayor Zimmer, and that was Eli Manning. At that time, Eli Manning lived in Hoboken. And I'll never forget, my father always cracked me up. My father, my partner, my father, my brother, my best friend. I went home the day of Sandy. I walked in, I had to take my shoes and socks off. And I just looked at everything, and I went outside. I got a dry apron. I went outside back to the van, and I wiped my feet, put my shoes and socks back on. And I went to my mother's house, and my father said, "How bad is it?" I said, "Bad." So that happened on a Tuesday, I think. So my father looked at me, he says, "Can we open Monday?" I said, "Yeah, but the question is, which Monday, Pop? Which Monday?" So that was, hopefully, and I hope I'm right. I don't think you'll see something like that again. If you do, I know we're not going to be here, but that'll be, it's like the 100-year storm.
Right. And right in this photo, I think you're giving him a hard time for not covering the spread.
No. In fact, I was a Giant fan back when Fran Tarkenton was the quarterback.
Okay.
And deep in my heart, I'm a Raider fan because that time AFL and NFL were two different entities. And I used to watch the 4 o'clock games. They were AFL, and the 1 o'clock games were the NFL until they merged. But no, I wasn't a fan, Jack. I wasn't a fan.
Good kid, though.
Yes.
All right, the next, I believe, is a photo that I took. And now, if you'll indulge me, it's our Mr. Steve Fallon.
Well, Steve, I'll tell you, don't take this wrong either, but you make me look good. God bless you. You make me look good. How you doing, my friend? I told you, every time Abramson and Jack, they dump on you, I'm there to defend you. So it's like you being there. And they do. They cut you to ribbons. But I got your back.
In all seriousness, though, you're a certain cut of meat, as it were.
Again, semantics, not bad.
Thank you.
Say your own words.
And we talked about with the working class clientele. Meanwhile, this as a young man in 1978, and his family opens the place Maxwell's that really became a drew people to Hoboken.
I tell you, it drew people to Hoboken, and because of this man, Steve Fallon, and his family, people became famous going through Maxwell's.
And also the demographics of the town changed over time.
Well, yeah.
A young Rand Hoppy moving in.
What do you start? You see, Steve, he's picking on Rand. What I tell you. Abramson is quiet, but he still gets it out.
No, so just people wouldn't say, "Oh, there's Patty Boy. He's that big indie rock fan."
Right.
So the friendship with a Steve Fallon,
you don't know how that generated, do you?
I don't.
Well, listen. Now, this is not verified, but maybe Steve will verify it someday.
All right, I will not rest till I get him on this.
Where was Maxwell's?
Maxwell's is at 11th and Washington. 1039.
And where is Piccolo's?
Is 92 Clinton Street.
Okay. Steve didn't come to me to eat because he was hungry. He came because he was aggravated, and he left Maxwell's, and he knew he could spend another hour or two relaxing. And he'd have a sandwich and just sit, reflect, and he would always say, "Patty, thank you." I said, "Where are you going?" He said, "I'm going back to work for more aggravation." That's the truth. That's the truth. But he never changed.
Oh, he's a beautiful.
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Big heart and a wonderful guy. I took this so.
My good friends. My good friends.
That's my mother and father.
Mr. and Mrs. Silbert. I can't remember Mrs. Silbert's first name because I always called them Mr. and Mrs. S. And when I found out Mr. S's name was Alan, please don't tell him I said Alan.
Well, now you don't. Yeah.
It's like what I say. What was it? Yeah, when you were with Vera down a place. She says, "Oh, is this your father? This your father?" I said, "Yeah, last time I checked, I haven't seen him in a while."
Right.
But great people, and this is why Jack is the way he is, because of these two beautiful people. And I always look forward. Jack would give me the heads up, say, "Mom and Papa coming up." And Mr. S, he's real, and that's what I love so much about him. And Mrs. S, much like my mother, a little demure, but when she had to get it up, she had gotten it up. So
give a little hello to my mom, if you don't mind.
I love you, Mom. I'll always ask for Jack. I ask Jack about you all the time, and I love you deep in my heart. You're like a mother to me. Always were. Always will be.
Before I get all weepy, keep it moving around. Now you'll.
Well, One of my favorite pictures, I got this on my desk. In fact, it was one of the last pictures that my mother and father took together, and I miss them dearly. Talk to them every morning and every night. And 3 kids couldn't have a better mother and father. And I'll go to my grave with that, and I'm happy about it. They gave us everything we needed and most of what we wanted. And you don't find that in life. And very grateful and thankful. I'm not sure they're proud of me, but anyway, that's okay. That's okay. Well, my mother was. In my mother's eyes, I could do nothing wrong.
Well,
My father, when I used to get in trouble, my father went to my mother, "This is your fault, because you knew about it and didn't tell me."
I loved it when he was, he was kind of part time, for a chunk there at the end, but he'd come in screaming at you.
That's it. That's it. Sometimes I think it was just to set the tone. And if anybody knew my father like I did, or even better, it's my good friend Cosmo the Baker that's sitting right there. He knew.
We're gonna get that man also in this seat.
And every once in a while, when he sees something that's not right, he said, "Patty, you know what your father would do?" I said, "Yeah, Cosmo, leave me alone."
Patty, I can't thank you enough for
No.
joining me here. On a personal level, you're my brother. I love you, and
You know that. You know that.
it started with my friend Joe, my roommate, and it was a fantastic place to eat, and also you get a bit of a stage show.
Well,
Thank you, Eric.
that's true, Eric.
And Zeus, the true, true words. If a person would be allowed one friend, make it Patty.
You know, I appreciate that. Zeus, I appreciate that. You know how I feel about you. I always feel that way about you, my brother.
Kind of a cliche of the person who's gruff but lovable, but this is this man, right? Who's this? What kind of is this? We only have so much videotape.
I'm not sure I recognize her.
That's our girl Vera.
I'll tell you the truth. Beer? God bless you, you're a pip.
Good, I wasn't sipping water with the green screen. You see, this is green.
Yeah.
Well, look, you can't see it.
Can't see it.
Ooh, goes right through it. Ooh.
Interesting. Well, that's television. I have nothing to do with that.
But if there's anybody watching this that hasn't been to Piccolo's at 92 Clinton Street, what are you waiting for? Open 6 days a week.
Monday to Saturday. Thank you, Mike.
8 a.m. till 4.
Yeah, I use
Great
pork.
burgers. And even if someone was a vegetarian, there's a couple of items for them there.
Well, you know the worst thing that I shouldn't say the worst thing that I make, because it's not the worst thing. The thing I dislike the most to make, grilled cheese. And it's simple.
Yeah.
Grilled cheese.
Yeah.
And I do it when an adult wants it. Well, you better be a vegetarian of some sort.
Right.
But I do it mainly because I get families that come in and their children grilled cheese. I say, yeah, I'll make it. Yeah.
If you got it, you'll make it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Our guest has been Patleo, Patty Boy Spaccavento. You can call him Ray. You can call him Jay.
I can't rightly say what my father used to call me.
Don't. That's
But it used to be Fat Exploit.
that is for Hoboken Talks After Hours, our premium channel. Upcoming on Hoboken Talks, at the end of the month, we have an extra day this month. The aforementioned, it's a leap year.
Yeah.
James Mastro of the Guitar Bar, of the Bongos, of Mott the Hoople.
Mott the Hoople?
Yeah.
He married me.
He,
What?
who, Mott the Hoople?
James.
Oh,
He was the preacher at my wedding.
I didn't know that.
That's awesome.
Great man. Great man.
Grant, I'll need a photo for the next. And then you can't get rid of me. In the middle of March 14th, mark your calendars. Jerry Fallow, the director of community affairs.
I heard she's retiring.
She is retiring. I thought she was retiring at the end of the year. She's still doing it.
Good for her. Good for her. She's good at it, too. I remember when we did a few Washington street festivals. I mean, she was running around like a chicken without a head, but I can understand that.
That's Jerry.
Yeah, I can understand that.
So,
but she did a heck of a job.
So I'm looking forward to both of those interviews. And we thank the New Jersey Historical Commission, who has supported us, and the New Jersey Council for the Humanities, which was a technological grant, I believe.
I thought that said manatees. I didn't see the HU.
Now, this is the Shipyard Circle. The museum counts on its visitors to support it. So please, when you come here, you drop a few bucks in the box, and any amount is welcome. But these kind people have dug deep, and since it's the new season, I just want to go through them quickly. Gary and Beth Berman, Andy Carlson, Cynthia Cray, Chris Faulkner and Nancy Lynch, Beth Feinstein, Bob Foster and Holly Metz. Bob, of course, the director of the museum. Barbara Gross, a great friend of mine. Valerie Huffnagel and Susan Gamba, they also trustees of the museum, and if you ever need any landscaping, you know who to call. Larry and Diana Enriquez. How about trustee Catherine Kingsbury? Niall Murray, Merritt and Joan Patterson, Justin Silverman, David Steele, my dear friend Ellen Stewart, also a trustee. This is a new one, the T. Rowe Price Program for Charitable Giving, and I believe Bill Tobias is part of that.
That's a typo.
There's going to be in our next edition, there'll be a line break there, so stay tuned for that. Bill Tobias, who's a trustee, another favorite friends of mine, Kate Valenta and Alex Johnston. Met Alex back when I had feet and was doing the Lincoln Tunnel 5K. Anthony Vetrano, another trustee, and Peter Wiley. But again, you don't have to be in the Shipyard Circle. If you got $10 to give, it's welcome. Paul Nashamkin, I recognize that guy, says thanks.
There you go. Give him his props.
All love to you, Paul. Iron State. Do you know what Iron State is?
No.
Iron State is the new name of... Brand, what was the old name?
Applied housing.
Applied Housing.
Ah.
And they are the landlords here.
Mm.
You know what the rent is?
I couldn't fathom. I would hope it's nothing.
$1 a year.
There you go.
You know. So huge thanks to Iron State. I like that logo.
And the Barry family.
Now the Barry family.
Right.
Yes. The underwriting from the main exhibit here. Benedict J. Fernandez and Patty and Cosmo were looking at this a little before. You gotta come here. The photojournalist, his dad worked at the shipyards, and later Benedict worked in the shipyards as well, but became this brilliant photojournalist who covered 60s protests to the point that he met Martin. I don't want to give away the whole thing, but spent it was the last year of Martin Luther King Jr.'s life. Benedict spent it with him, and we have some wonderful photos, both of
The photos are fantastic.
the Hoboken shipyard and the protest. There's a photo of Allen Ginsberg that Vera loves. So that is, you can see the hours, also 6 days a week. They copied.
There's no rest for the weary.
And up here, I don't know if you've had a look at this, but another pal of mine, Jean-Paul Picard, has these kind of 3D. You don't need 3D glasses, but he captures motion, and then he bends the paper, and very cool. So if you're downstairs, make sure you come upstairs to see this exhibit. And we're on all over the place on the social media, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. So, like us, subscribe. We love your comments, as you've seen during this show. And again, if you loved this interview, share it. You got buddies who weren't home who would like to see it. It helps get the word out. We appreciate it. For the Hoboken Historical Museum, I have been Jack Silbert, again with Pat Spaccavento of Piccolo's 92 Clinton Street. And Rand Hoppy has been your director. And thank you for watching. We'll see you in 2 weeks, 3 weeks.